helped to make this recital possible. I am, first and foremost, indebted to the music department here at Rollins University. Since the first day I stepped onto campus, they have made me feel welcome and provided me with an unparalleled education. From my freshman year seminar with Dr. Bill Krause, taking the crooked road through Virginia's musical heritage, to earning my piano certificate with Professor Barbara Mankin, I have been molded into the musician I am today. I count myself among the proud women immensely enriched by the unique opportunities that a Holland's music education affords. Second, I would like to express my gratitude to my piano instructor of 4 years, Melia Garber. I could not ask for a more disciplined, encouraging, and passionate piano teacher to accompany me on my journey as a music major. Our music department puts their heart and soul into molding each student to her potential. Melia is a perfect example of this dedication. Under her guidance, I have grown technically and personally as a pianist. She has pushed me outside of my comfort zone on multiple occasions, and I am so thankful for that. Without those challenges, I never would have gained the confidence I now possess. Finally, I would like to thank my loving friends and family, as well as my former piano teacher, Jane Lemhoner, for their continued support. Music has been a fundamental aspect of my life since childhood, and those closest to me have always nurtured my love for piano performance. I cannot thank them enough for encouraging me throughout my pursuit of piano study. I know the piano will provide me with a lifelong source of joy. The first piece I will perform this evening is a 2-part invention in D minor, composed by Johann Sebastian Bach. Bach composed during a period in which much emphasis was placed on pedagogy. The measure of a composer's worth was often determined by his ability to write counterpoint that was specifically geared for teaching composition. Counterpoint was also written for the main purpose of teaching students how to compose. In this sense, one of the most important jobs of a composer was to pass on his composing skills to the next generation of musicians. Those ideas are demonstrated most chiefly in Bach's 2-part inventions and 3-part sinfonias, which were compositional studies in independent voices. The pieces were also meant to be good examples in how to properly develop a musical theme. As you listen to this 2-part invention, notice the intricate counterpoint displayed in Bach's weaving of motifs or musical themes. Once Bach begins this process of weaving, an effect called Fortspannung is created. From the German for spinning out, Fortspannung refers to an intricate process of development in Baroque composition. A salient metaphor for this process is the weaving of yarn into clothing. A piece of good yarn is uniform in its composition and of the same substance as the fiber it is spun from, but yarn is nevertheless distinct from fiber by virtue of its ordered structure. This ordered structure is indeed found in Bach's 2-part inventions. The unyielding rhythm does not allow for a moment of reprieve. I hope you enjoy Bach's 2-part invention in D minor. I am pleased to officially commence my senior recital, tickling the ivories through the decades. Sebastian Bach was the primary composer, came the classical period. While it is easy to deem all music before the 20th century as classical music, there are in fact 7 distinct periods of composition recognized by musicologists today. After the ancient, medieval, and Renaissance periods, the Baroque period began in 1600. Composers such as J.S. Bach, Telemann, and Scarlatti flourished during this time. Their music is largely characterized by heavy ornamentation, rigid counterpoint, and fortissimo, as in the Bach two-part invention you just heard. The Baroque era lasted until the year of J.S. Bach's death, 1750, which gave way to the classical period. The classical period lasted until approximately 1820, and from this period emerged the most commonly recognized composers of our time. From Mozart and Haydn to Clementi and Beethoven, the classical period was filled with child prodigies and compositional geniuses who revolutionized the course of music. Ludwig von Beethoven composed the Light sonatas, or as they are literally translated, easy sonatas, between 1795 and 1798. As you can probably guess, the name is utterly misleading for any piano student who undertakes these pieces. Nevertheless, they are beautiful, intriguing, and complex compositions that reflect their creator. The main theme of this particular sonata is presented at the beginning of the piece. In sonata form, this first section is called the exposition. The main theme is a motif you will hear repeated throughout the piece, and this is what it sounds The development of this sonata begins with a short theme based on the subordinate theme material of the exposition. It utilizes ornamentation in the form of trills, and it goes like this. New material is presented, along with further ornamentation to dress up that material. Besides ornamentation and enhancement of themes, Beethoven also utilizes transitional sequences to take us from one major moment to the next. The development section eventually takes us back to the main theme. This third section of a sonata is thus called the recapitulation. After the initial repeat of the main theme, Beethoven moves the section forward with the transition, which takes us into the transposition of the subordinate theme in G minor. This subordinate theme gradually builds and ultimately prepares us for Beethoven's dramatic final cadence. In most pieces of tonal music, the cadence is centered on the dominant chord. This chord desperately wants to resolve to the tonic, or home key, of the piece. You can especially hear that desire for resolution when the dominant and tonic chords are played back to back. I'll demonstrate. The short final section is called the closing section, and its changes in dynamics are substantial. The ominous chords are played much quieter than those of previous sections. In fact, pianissimo is the dynamic rhythm of the music, and that translates to very quiet. Interestingly enough, the final chord of this G minor movement is a G major chord. This adds tonal complexity and offers an intriguing surprise for listeners. As you listen to this first movement of the the Lake Sonata in G minor, you will experience dynamic fluctuations as well as emotional nuances throughout the piece. The counterpoint utilized in Bach's two-part invention is still largely present in the sonata. However, true to the changes of the classical period, this sonata is more emotionally expressive as well as freer in its rhythmic interpretation. I hope you will enjoy this first movement of Beethoven's Life Sonata in G minor. history of music, ended around 1820. The relatively short Romantic period followed, lasting until approximately 1900. In those 60 short years, the composer's emphases were on emotion and passion in their pieces. Significant dynamic contrasts abounded in Romantic compositions, and each one tells a compelling story, inviting the listener in. Chopin wrote over 50 mazurkas, which are relatively short Polish folk dances. Unlike most pieces in a 3/4 time signature, Chopin's mazurkas emphasize the second beat as opposed to the first beat, which creates rhythmic complexity. The mazurkas are also very song-like, or cantabile, in particular, Opus 67, number 2, Mazurka in G minor. He wrote this piece near the end of his life in 1849, after he had split with longtime lover George Sand, a French novelist. In the final years of his life, Chopin was depressed and in poor health. As he was yearning for home, the Mazurka in G minor evoked Chopin's patriotic and emotional ties to Poland. It was published posthumously in 1855 and was among the unpublished pieces Chopin had wanted to destroy prior to his death. Fortunately, this Mazurka, as well as many other works, was saved by Julian Fontana, a close friend of Chopin's. The collection of Chopin's mazurkas is quite special. These short, vignette-like pieces evoke a world of emotion, each one telling a different story. They provide an intimate connection to their composer's internal life. I hope you enjoy this mazurka in G minor. Largely beginning with Debussy, composers began to explore methods of atonal composition. The pieces still had a central theme, motif, or rhythm that tied everything together, but they were not necessarily written in any particular key. Alberto Ginastera is a great example of a musician who composed such music. Ginastera wrote the 12 American Preludes in 1944, of which Triste and Creole Dance are a part. These pieces, as you will hear, are drastically different from one another. In each of the 12 American Preludes, Ginastera notated exactly how long he felt it should take to play each piece. In the case of Triste, it is quite short, even for a prelude. It clocks in at only 56 seconds. However, Ginastera packs a lot of emotion, particularly nostalgia, into those 56 seconds. In Spanish, triste directly translates to sad. Therefore, this first prelude is considerably solemn and understated. As for Creole dance, Ginastera went in a completely different direction. To say that this piece is intense would be an understatement. Rather, this 1 minute, 21-second dance commands your attention, immediately taking off at a clip without stopping for air. From the very first measure of this piece, the pianist is instructed to play marcato y violento, which translates to stressed and violent. Adjectives such as these are not usually associated with dances. However, this is no typical dance. In Creole dance, Ginastera incorporates complex rhythmic contrast, a heightened sense of urgency, and exercises in finger control. The Argentinian folk rhythms of Ginastera's youth are present throughout the piece. Also, the work is largely atonal, which makes its excitability all the more intriguing. Triste and Creole dance are not pieces that would typically be paired with one another. Most composers would consider them too different, either publishing them with a few buffer pieces in between, or in separate collections altogether. Yet this pairing works for Ginastera because it shows versatility and an impressively condensed range of emotion. The preludes play off of one another, each accentuating what the other lacks. The pieces in 12 American preludes also exemplify a lot of traits attributed to Ginastera's second creative period, subjective nationalism. A biographer of Ginastera, Elena Davul, states that the composer never gives up Argentine traditions. He uses rhythmic contrast and has a deep, tense feeling. Melody is still important, as well as contrast between tension and relaxation. The exhilarating rhythmic energy, captivating lyricism, and hallucinatory atmosphere captured in his music are still powerful influences on piano performers today. I hope you enjoy Triste and Creole dance. everyone. It has been an immense pleasure to present and play this fantastic selection of music for you. To end this evening's program, I would like to perform a piece that is especially close to my heart. Growing up, my father instilled in me a love of music. Together, we would listen to an eclectic range of genres: jazz, classic rock, blues, country, and occasionally classical. I cannot thank him enough for introducing me to so many innovative artists, particularly Billy Joel. Whenever I hear or play Billy Joel's Lullabye, I am reminded of my late grandma Helen. For me, Joel's heartfelt lyrics reflect the love my grandmother had for her family and remind me that those familial bonds can never be broken. Tonight, my dear friend Andrea Beland will be joining me as the vocalist for Lullabye. Please give her a warm welcome. Again for your presence this evening. I know that my grandmother, too, is present with us in spirit, and I would like to dedicate this recital to her memory. So, here's to tickling to many more ivories through future decades of music. I am now proud to present Billy Joel's Lullabye. Good night.